I'm sure you've noticed the heads on the walls. I've always wanted to brag about what I've killed, and these are not mine. But this is from Scenic Rivers in Salem, and we just appreciate them leaving them overnight. I had to bend his arm backwards to let him, so that he would keep them here. But sure appreciate their work, and they've made the whole atmosphere really pop for us. I'd just like you to give a warm welcome to Randy again this morning, and thank him for coming, being willing to come all the way from Wisconsin, the cheese state, right?
Cheeseheads.
Yeah, are you a Packers fan?
No.
Really?
No, I was born and raised in Minnesota. I hate the Packers.
Oh. All right. I love the Packers.
Yeah, it's not the Packers, it's the fans.
Uh-huh.
You just have to go to, you're lucky if you come out alive out of a Packer Viking game.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, give him a big warm welcome.
Thank you. You know, I'm delighted truly to be with you, and I've been in a lot of prayer and thought about this weekend. And you know what's amazing? When God takes an ordinary person and ordinary people and does the impossible. And I travel and speak all over the country, and I want to tell you that I'm truly proud of you people. Because for your first time event, you kicked it out of the park, okay? You knocked it out of the park. And to have 12 people make first time commitments and 18 recommit their lives, refocusing their lives, making Christ the target of their life, is what it's all about. Life's really short. Eternity is really long. Right? And yesterday was about eternity. You know, I've gotten to know your pastors, Dave and Diane, and they rock. I really like them. And I felt like I knew them before I met them because we talked on the phone, we were communicating, emailing, and I could tell they were impassioned about this. And when I found out is they've pastored this community, 31 years? You've pastored this church, 31 years. And you know, the average overnight success in business, they say, takes 20 years. And ministry is just like that. See, we want instant things, but they've labored, they've worked, they've poured their heart and soul. And you know what? I get to hang around a lot of pastors and pastors' wives, and who are also a lot of times in ministry like Diane. And a lot of times I get behind the scenes, I get to hear the heartache, I get to hear the challenges, I get to hear the struggles that it is. You know, it's kind of a tough work pastoring people. Because they're not perfect, right? And sometimes they're just a pain. No, Diane didn't say that. Dave did. No. And I made sure I turned my mic on because he wasn't pinching me this morning. I'll tell you what. So, but I like to have fun with people I love, and I love your pastors. Let me tell you something. I say this with all sincerity. Behind your back, they really love you. And they love being your pastors. And so would you just give it up for your pastors this morning? Because they love being your pastor, and they've been doing it for 31 years. And you know what? It's a great gift when God gives you the heart for what he's put in front of you. And I told my kids many years ago, and this is my advice for anybody who's looking for their future and what they want to do and where they want to put their life. Seek God first, then trust the passion. And always pursue the God-given passion he has in your life. And it goes a lot better. You know, I can't talk about what I've read. I talk about what I've lived. Is that okay? You see, I've lived some life, and I can't believe how, I don't know, it just seems like life goes by so fast, doesn't it? I mean, it's shocking how fast life goes by. I remember, being in college and thinking, man, 60 years old, that's a long ways away. And life just keeps marching on day by day, minute by minute. And I literally feel young until I look in the mirror and I go, oh, dude, what happened to you? Come on, we know it, right? I mean, it's like, whoa. And then I feel, sometimes you just have little telltale signs of your age, like you get out of bed in the morning, and it's like, oh, and you start to feel it. But my growing old was brought painfully home to me a few years ago. I was in my early 50s, and I'm driving on a business trip. I have several companies, and I'm involved with a lot of stuff, and I own 2 companies, have several real estate partnerships, and I sit on several nonprofit boards, and I speak about 30 times a year for church groups, a lot of men's groups, sportsmen's dinners, and do a lot of preaching. And so I'm always traveling, and you know, I don't know about you, but I love coffee. I call it hallelujah juice. You know, they tell me it improves my personality. Sometimes I need 2 cups because I am not jump out of bed ready to go kind of guy. I get up early every day, but I got to kind of percolate up to the day, you know. And so I'm driving through Wisconsin on my way to Milwaukee for a business meeting. And you know, in a pinch, McDonald's would do it. It's not the worst coffee in the world, you know. And so I pull into McDonald's and I go up to the counter and I order a cup of coffee. And this sweet little girl gets me my cup of coffee, plops it on the counter and says, "That'll be 50 cents. And I go, "Wow, that's a really good deal for a cup of coffee." And she just smiles and says, "Yeah, I gave you the senior coffee." For real? I have never been offered a senior anything in my life. Someone just gave, I can't believe how fast I got to this point. Someone gave me a senior something, or they thought I qualified for a senior coffee. Well, I'm kind of I'm hurt. I'll be truthful, I'm hurt. I go, well, how old do you have to be to get a senior coffee? It gets worse, folks. She just smiles and cocks her head and says, "I just go by looks." True story. That's bad. You know, and some of you young people are laughing, but before you know it, someone's going to give you the senior coffee and you didn't ask for it and you don't want it. Charge me $3, whatever it takes. But don't call me, you know, I have several friends' kids that are in my life. I love kids. I never liked kids till I had my own. You know, I didn't hate them, but I wouldn't babysit them. You know, there's things coming out at every end on those things. You know, this is not me, man. But when I held my son for the first time, it changed me. It's going to be so awesome. It's never the same, is it? It changed. I love kids. I love my own. I love my grandkids are fun. I told my wife, when we had our first grandchild, I said, "Wow, I love being a grandpa, but I don't know if I like kissing the grandma." Not my brightest statement, but anyway, I love kids and just in holding them and you know and it amazes me how fast life goes by, but I won't let anybody, my grandkids, call me Grandpa. I'm Uncle Randy, okay? I got a lot of kids that call me Uncle Randy. But you see, here's what God's teaching me. Every day that God gives me, and every day that God gives you, is a gift of 24. It really is, right? We never know when our time will be called. It could be young, it could be old. Every day, folks, is a gift. Every minute of every day is a gift. And I have to tell you that I myself have not always recognized that every day is a gift. And every minute of every day is a gift. So I really believe that God, you know, the way you spent your time yesterday and the energy and all the effort that went into it, was it worth it? Oh, yes. Was it worth it? It didn't happen because you just, you know, decided to kind of throw something together, right? It took months. We've been talking since last year, right? And it took months, and just getting the church and the facility. You guys need a vacation after all this, because this is beautiful. And I would do everything I could, bribe that taxidermist to leave these mounts here, because I think I've had a lot of ladies in this church tell me they think they look good, but the good things always come hard. And if we don't see, what God's talking to me about is the intentionality of the gift of every day. And the truth of it is, if you don't spend your days well, you'll never get the outcome that you want. See, every day is a gift of 24 hours. How we use the gift determines your life outcomes. Do you know that? If you don't like your outcomes, Do you know why? It's because you're not spending your time well. You'll never get the outcomes unless you spend your time well. Right? I mean, I want certain outcomes, but sometimes I don't want to pay the price. I don't want to be focused to get the outcomes. And so the outcomes of the rest of your life are going to be determined how you spend every minute. Now, that doesn't mean you don't spend some time sleeping. You do need to, thank God I slept well last night. I woke up feeling dangerous. And after 2 cups of coffee, I feel especially dangerous. But here's the reality. If you study successful people at all walks of life, you know what's different about them? They spend their day better than most people. They're very intentional about it. So highly productive people spend their 24 hours better and more focused than average people. And if you're not, what has surprised me is that I've analyzed how I spend my, a lot of times I've been analyzing how I spend my 24 hours. Boy, is that discouraging. Really? Just spend some time and go back and look at your calendar. And look how you're spending your time, and you'll realize, wow, I'm wasting a lot of time. You know, at the end of our life, it's not that, you know, I wish I could have, watched one more movie. Right? So, I want to challenge you today to analyze how you're spending your time. You know what? I'm a Christian, right? I believe in this word. But I can't believe how little I spend reading this. Can I be transparent with you? I'm just going to be really transparent. I don't like the way God works. Really. And if a lot of you were truthful, you'd say the same thing. Because I just wish he'd do it my way. And he doesn't. And I've learned that God's ways are higher than my ways. And the only way me and God, it's because within all of us is a carnal nature that wants to resist the plan and the purpose that God has. But today, even alone in my devotions, I love Proverbs, by the way. You all, if you're not spending some time in Proverbs, you're missing some. A lot of people will read self-help books and these really good books, that are motivational and exciting. This is the best self-help book there is. And let me just give you some nuggets I read this morning from Proverbs. And I'm reading this thing, and this guy just said, share some of this stuff, because, you see, all wisdom is found in the basis of God. All medical breakthroughs are actually foundationally in how God has set it up. Everything good, everything wholesome, everything that is meaningful comes from the heart of God. I'm just going to give you a few, okay? Proverbs 17:6. This is awesome. I just talked about my grandkids. Grandchildren are the crowning glory of the aged. I love my grandkids. They're awesome. You know what? I realize why it's more fun to have grandkids than kids. When you're raising kids, it's serious business. You're literally trying to keep those buggers alive. They're trying to kill themselves. And you're scared to death that you're going to screw them up. And they're never going to be normal. I am so grateful for my wife because my kids have some degree of normality. I have one son who has a PhD in philosophy. He's a brainiac. That's not my gene pool. Thank you, Jesus. But grandkids, they're fun because you're just relaxed. You spoil them rotten, you feed them sugar and caffeine, and then you send them home. It's awesome. I take a picture of my grandson. He loves coffee. He's 10 years old, and we go out to breakfast in the morning, and I always take a picture with him drinking coffee with me. So she knows. When he comes home, he's going to be a handful. Here's another one. Proverbs 18. I want you to listen to this, because there's a couple translations I think bring it a little clearer. This is the New Living Translation. It says, unfriendly people care only about themselves. They lash out at common sense. Here's what that means. If you isolate yourself, you're up to no good. People who isolate themselves are up to no good. Let me tell you a good reason to come to church. Because you're not isolated. You're with fellow people that can help you and encourage you, bless you, support you. And it's not all about, when it's all about you, it's a miserable existence. Michael Phelps who's the most decorated Olympian of all time, worth over $60 million, and before his last glory run, was suicidal in drug rehabilitation, wanted to kill himself. You know why? Because it was all about him. He realized, he picked up the book Purpose-Driven Life, and it changed him because he realized it was all about him. And let me tell you something. You can be worth a lot of money, have won more Olympic gold medals than anybody in all of history, and still want to kill yourself. But you can pastor a church for 31 years because it's about God and others, and love it. That's the awesome thing of God. He gives a spark and blessing and love in our lives because we get to be a part of the conduit of watching change lives. You see, yesterday, the blessing was two grandsons found Jesus. And it's a journey and a path. If you isolate yourself, you're up to no good. Don't you do it. You know, guys, we kind of are good at that. We're friendly to a lot of people, but we don't really have that many friends. The reason why I think women they handle the loss of their husband better than men handle the loss of their wife is because women are more relational. And us guys, we have buddies, but we really don't really have buddies. Because we're not straight, we're not honest with them, we don't really work together on things, okay? We may play ball together, but when they say, hey, you know, I've got this problem that I'm really struggling with, could you help me through this? You know, we're women will talk more about it. So anyway, don't isolate yourself. Here's a good one. Fools have no interest in understanding, but only want to air their own opinions. How many have met those people? Okay, more pointedly, how many have been those people? I've been that person. I'm thinking, you know, Randy, you're just spouting off. You need to be a better listener. Here's another one. The name of the Lord is a strong fortress, and the godly run to him and are safe. That's the awesome thing with God. And I like that word, run. Sometimes we just need to get away. We need to run to God and say, God, help me through this. Intelligent people are always ready to learn. Their ears are open to knowledge. Isn't that good? Here's the one, and I just sent this to my wife this morning in a text. Guys, I want you to listen up. Because Psalms 18:22 says this. The man who finds a wife finds a treasure. Yeah, amen. I said, God, are you talking about that pain in the butt I'm married to? And he receives favor from the Lord. Here's what I sometimes don't realize, but God has given me a true treasure in my wife. And sometimes I take her for granted. Man, let's see our wives as the treasure God has set her up to be. Amen? Wives, you're a treasure. I said, honey, how's my treasure today? So I want you to know I love you and I'm praying for you. And I pray that you'll hug my grandkids for me. She's out to see our grandkids in Omaha. Here's the one I shared a little bit yesterday, Psalms 19. It says, people ruin their lives, 19:3. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness, then are angry at the Lord. Have you ever seen people like that? They're doing stupid things and then they're angry at God, you know? It's not like God did those dumb things. Keep the commandments and keep your life. Despise them leads to death. Here's what Psalms 1 says, blessed is the person who does not seek counsel of the world, but in her delight is in the law of the Lord, and on God's law they meditate day and night. If you meditate on God's word, you take this word and you take it into your heart. The Bible says whatever you do will prosper. Isn't that good? If you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord and he will repay you. You know, there's nothing better. If God's blessed you in any way, you're meant to share it. I just think there's joy in sharing what God has blessed us, whether it's your home or a meal or just helping somebody fix a car, whatever it is. If you help the poor, it's like God says that you're doing it in my name and I will bless you for it. A couple more things. Inheritance obtained too early in life is not a blessing in the end. You know, it's like why people that win the lottery, their lives are it normally wrecks their lives, it doesn't bless their life. God knows we need to work for things that are meaningful. That if we just are given it to us, it spoils us and it makes us rotten. And so that's why we have to work. That's why we have to be diligent. The Lord directs our steps. This is what I like, because I like to know what the Lord's up to, you know. The Lord directs our steps, so why try to understand everything along the way? You know? Why? I always want to know more than the Lord wants me to know, okay? You know, and sometimes it's just learning the peace of trusting God with our lives. The Lord directs our steps, so why try to understand everything along the way? And then finally, 20:29 says, the glory of the young is their strength, the gray hair of experience is the splendor of the old. So what I came to do is share some of my gray hair experiences with you today. And what hair I have left. And the Bible says he even keeps track of the hairs of our head. I think sometimes he needs to make it a little easier on them, you know. So we're a little follically challenged. But so as you analyze how you spend your 24 hours, I think you're going to be shocked, as I have been, that I don't spend it the way I should. Will the way you're spending your day lead to the life outcomes you want? That's what I want to ask you today. Will the way you're spending your life, the precious gift that God gives you every day of 24 hours, will it lead to the outcomes you want? You know, I was in my doctor's office, and I'm waiting for him to show up. You know, I'm always nervous. I have white coat syndrome, man, really bad. You know, they put that cuff on your arm, and I always have high blood pressure in the doctor's office. They want to put me on drugs, and then I take it at home when I'm relaxed, and it's good, you know, but I'm always a little anxious, so I'm kind of waiting so I'm looking at the posters he's got up. And this one poster, it said, it's a doctor with a clipboard talking to his patient. And he's you know, and this is what he says to his patient. So tell me, what is easier, 1 hour of exercise a day or 24 hours of being dead? Oh, he's got a good point there. You know, we like to be physically fit, but we don't want to take the time to do that, you know? And so it just challenges me, even if in the area of being physically fit, if you don't spend any of your 24 hours doing something about it, what do you get? Unfit, right? And it's funny, but when I was younger, I could eat anything and never gain weight. And as you get older, stupid body just starts to slow down. And I go, and now you can just eat one cookie and gain 10 pounds. I don't know how that works. Of course, I'm being ridiculous. And as I said before, I mean, how many know if you try to lose weight, it just doesn't want to leave? Yeah. But you see, it's hard work. Good things always come hard. Bad things come easy, right? And so how are we spending our day? Are we doing something to take care of ourselves? Let me ask you, guys, I'm going to challenge you on this one. Will watching TV or surfing on the internet help you accomplish your life goals? I did something real radical. I'm not saying, thus saith the Lord, okay? But you know what we did? In all of our homes, we got rid of the TV. Can you believe that? And I'm not preaching a new religion, you know. And I love TV. I do. I like watching TV. But the problem is, before I know it, 3 hours have gone by, and I'm never going to get those 3 hours back. And guess what? The Packers or the Vikings or whatever, the Rams, whatever team that you're rooting for, whether you watch them or not, they're going to be all right. And so I'm not saying never watch TV, but is that where you want to put most of your time? Here's my challenge to men that I speak to all over the country. I dare you to shut the TV off for a month. See if you can do it. I dare you. And then when you shut it off, replace it with more meaningful things, like going for a walk with your wife. Maybe going and visiting a friend. Maybe going and spending more time taking care of yourself physically, going out for a walk, biking, whatever it is. Replace that time with something more meaningful. So my challenge to you guys is shut the TV off and do something better with your time. And it's sort of like, have you ever said, last year I had a friend who was struggling with smoking, and I said I'd make a deal with him that if he stopped smoking, I'd quit eating ice cream. Because I love ice cream. It is an addiction, okay? I'm confessing. I love ice cream. In fact, when I left here last night, I went to Wendy's and got a Frosty. Because it's pretty good. But for a year, I told my friend I would quit for a year. And I want to tell you, I would drive down the road and I'd have these cravings to pull in, to a Dairy Queen or something, And it was so hard at first. But after I did it for a while, I didn't really have it. And so, to make life changes, it's not going to be easy. But if you want the outcomes, you gotta do it. So, shut the TV off. We need to be incredibly intentional with every hour of every day, or we will never accomplish the things we are truly capable of with God's help. I know a lot of us would like to accomplish some things with our life, right? If you don't, please, we're going to pray for you today. Because God really, seriously, if you let God, God takes ordinary people like my brother and I, or any of you, ordinary people. I used to say God likes to do extraordinary things to ordinary people. I don't believe that's true anymore. I believe it's a step higher than that. That God wants to do the impossible through ordinary lives. Because I've watched what God has done in my life, in the life of my brother, in the life of some other people I know. When you really are all in for God and you bring your calendar and say, God, help me with this calendar. Help me to be focused. Help me to be intentional and to spend my life the way I should. It's unbelievable what can happen. God wants to take you and do things that you can't do. Several years ago, God woke me in the middle of the night. Listen to me, folks. He doesn't do this often. But I believe this is the call that God has to all of us. He said, Randy, if you're not trying to do something bigger than you, I'm not in it. And I'm trying to, is this God? Is this a dream? What's going on here? I said, God, is this you? He says, yeah, it's me. I said, well, God, nobody's accusing me of thinking small. I've already started a couple of multi-million-dollar companies. I'm involved with some really amazing ministries. And I'm pretty engaged in a lot of things. And, I think I'm doing quite a bit. And he said back to me, and it scared me. To this day, it still scares me. He says, Randy, you keep doing what you know you can do, and I want you to do what you know you can't do, because then you're going to need me. I said, God, that's really scary. I don't know if I can live that way. See, God, when you look at the story, David and Goliath, why do you think that story about David and Goliath is in the Bible? Is it because it's just a cool story? Or is that really a story that God can take a little boy with a sling? And if you ever tried to use one, I've tried to use it like a biblical sling. All I can tell you is that's hard to be accurate with one of those. If I have a sling and I was slinging it in this room and I let go, all I can tell you is somebody would die. I just don't know who. We need to be incredibly intentional, and we also need to live bigger than us and not about us. One of the things I like to challenge people is to think big and live big, and that starts with our calendar. We can only live Philippians 4:13 if we make good use of the gift of 24 hours that God gives us. And of course, how many know that verse? That we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. I love that verse. We can do all things through Christ. Isn't that's our battle cry. That's our rally. That's what happened yesterday. You came together, and we can do it. You did it. And people found Jesus. Someday when we get to heaven, folks, because of yesterday, because of the effort you made, people are going to be in heaven. And they're going to say, thank you. Because I was on the wrong road. I was on the wrong path. And together, with God's help, something that's bigger than us can happen. Amen? We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us if we use our gift of 24 hours well. So I want you to do this. You don't have to do it today. And you know what I know? Some of you are going to go home and never do this. In fact, a lot of you, because, it's a good idea, but, I'm kind of comfortable in my life. But I want you to make a list of the top 6 outcomes you would like to accomplish with your life. Are they really something you would like to accomplish? What are the 6 top outcomes you want to see happen in your life? Make a list, write them down. And then analyze how you're spending your time. But I believe that the 6 areas that you should look at is faith. What do you want for an outcome with your own faith with God? The time you spend with Him. And I think one of the things that Pastor Dave has been talking about is the prayer time, that we need to have prayer time, devotions and prayer time with God, right? And if we don't get that right, nothing else gets right. In fact, I have found that I'm a rascal without God. Really. I don't have the ability in myself to overcome some of the own internal. You know what? There's only one man in this whole world I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of me. And without the help of God, without studying His Word, without applying it to my life, and without devotions and prayer and sometimes fasting and just putting everything aside, and it's me and God, and we need a breakthrough because I got a problem on my hands. So faith needs to be, I believe, the first thing that you focus. What is the outcome you want with your life? And I can tell, and I'll talk about it later. I promise you, folks, that if you follow what I'm teaching you, what I'm learning myself, that your outcome with your life will be incredible and amazing. But we got to put God first, or it's never going to happen. Faith, family, your health. You know what? Don't we all want to be healthy? But if we don't invest in our health, we don't take the time, if we don't plan it into our calendar, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. You know, a pill doesn't fix everything, right? Sometimes we got to put the effort in ourselves. For your vocationally, what is it you want to do? Let me tell you something. You're not just going to get a great paying job by not putting the effort in, right? You've got to be intentional. Sometimes you need to have a certain degree. Sometimes you need to have experiences. Relational. This is where I think a lot of times we struggle. I think especially as guys. I have determined that I'm going to have friends. Friendships take work. And sometimes we're so busy, where guys tend to be task-oriented, and we're friendly, but we don't really have friends. You know what I realize? I need friends. So if I'm going to have friends, what does it require of me? That part of my time needs to be spent with them. And you know what? I'm sorry, kids, but if you have supposed friends on social media, that's a bunch of baloney. Because if you never meet them, you don't break bread. If you're not having in-person interaction with them, they're not your friend. They're just some communication thing going on. Friendship is never meaningful until it's one-on-one, in person, right? And I know people who have met on the internet and have married some beautiful, and it's worked. But at some point, they had to come together, right? And they had to spend time together. Relationally, what is it you want to accomplish, and financially? You want to know something? I'll tell you, being financially well off is two things. Number one, I can tell you from a personal perspective, if you don't tithe, what are you thinking? The Bible's really clear that if you want to be blessed, you need to be a tither. And that means giving 10% of your paycheck to your church. And I've been doing that since a little boy. I can tell you the number one reason I believe that God has blessed me financially is because I've been a tither and then some all my life. You see, it's not that God needs the money. It's not like somehow God's destitute, and if you don't tithe, it's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? The reality is God needs to know your heart's in the right place. And if you can't trust Him with 10%, give Him 10% to help provide for your need. I believe God helps keep your cars running longer. I believe He helps keep you healthier. I believe He gives you opportunities that you wouldn't have. I've had opportunities because God knows He can trust me with money because my heart's in the right place, okay? And you know what I love about giving to God's work? It's eternal. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with buying. I like big bad trucks, and I like to have a nice house for God's not against any of that stuff. He's not against us having nice things. But He doesn't want us to be in love with the money. And when we don't recognize Him, and He's the ultimately God, does God own 10% or does He own 100%? 100%. So tithe, 10%, I call it the 10-10 philosophy. I'm going to just getting off track a little bit here. Tithe 10% and save 10% and learn how to live on the rest. It's proven if you just put 10% of what you make into a well-run mutual fund, at some point you're going to end up with some pretty good money, okay? It's pretty basic, but you have to have the discipline to do it. And you have to plan it into your life. Based on these objectives, I want you to plan the next 2 weeks of your life by the half hour to line up with those outcomes. Okay, this sounds like homework, right? It is. I dare you. You can do this, right? Nobody's stopping you, right? Right? The only person that's getting in your way is you. So do the discipline of saying, okay, I've got a gift of 24 hours. By God's grace, I pray that I'll have 2 weeks of 24 hours, okay? So what are my outcomes? What are the things that I really are important in my life that I want to see happen? And how do I plan that into my life? If you want to have a good relationship with your wife, you guys, you know how you spell love? T-I-M-E, right? I'm sorry, because it's so bright, I can't see you people. And I'm afraid that the glare is probably killing you too. So anyway, take the next 2 weeks. I'm not saying you have to do this the rest of your life, but just as a discipline, try to plan out the next 2 weeks of your life as close as you can. You know you got to work, you know you got to sleep. And you know, by the way, you need some peace, and you got to plan rest and relaxation. You know, when I was a 30-year-old, I found myself in the ER having I had a kind of a chronic fatigue, stressed out. I was having the time of my life. And I had severe dizzy spells, thought something was really wrong with me. And they do all these tests, and so the doctor starts asking me how things are going in my life. And I said, well, great, I have the time of my life. Well, you may be, but your body just checked out. Right? That's why there's a Sabbath. That's why God plans. He knows He's designed us. So there's no guilt, there's no sin in having rest and relaxation. My favorite thing to do Sunday afternoon is praising the Lord with my toes pointed towards heaven. And expecting the back of my eyelids, make sure everything's good, you know? We need that rest, relax. There's no guilt. Plan it into your life. You guys are pretty tired, and Pastor Dave and Diane, you need to plan right now. You can give yourself some permission to rest.
We're going away next week.
All right. All right. So can you do that? Because that's, again, God's holistic in His approach. Using the gift of 24 hours wisely will help you maximize the other gifts God has given you in your life. Do you know that God's given all of you gifts? I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he was talking about his other siblings, how they had this creative ability, but he didn't have any artistic ability. I said, that's because God gave you your own unique ability. You know, I shared how God gives my brother dreams in the middle of the night, and because he asked God to give him. I had said to God one day, I said, God, I'm the avid bow hunter in the family. I love hunting with a bow. And would you mind telling me how to make bows? You know what God said? I'm paraphrasing a little bit. Get over it, chump. I got something else. See, sometimes we're trying to live somebody else's dreams. We see something and we want to emulate. But God uniquely within all of us has something unique for us to do. And we need to explore that. And God's given me talent and ability that my brother doesn't have. Right? So it's all good. I like 1 Peter 4:10 through 11. It says, God has given each of you a gift from His great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. Do you have the gift of speaking? Then speak as though God Himself were speaking through you. You know, I have to tell you that's been a struggle, because I feel I've done a lot of things in life, run multi-million-dollar companies, but when I feel like I get up and I'm going to speak on behalf of God, that's kind of scary. Because I know who I am. And it's so incredible when God takes imperfect people and He works through them, and I've experienced that, right? It really is. But God can help us, and we have a gift. So I thought, here's what I said. Do you have the gift of speaking? Well, I don't know, but if God opens the door, I'm going to give it everything. So then speak as though God Himself were speaking through you. I'm speaking just like God's speaking through me today, because that's what He told me to do. I believe that God is speaking to you today through me. Imperfect me. And I hope and pray that He does, because I want to see lives changed. I've seen the miraculous work of God in my life and other lives. And when God can help our kids come to Jesus, that's a miracle. And I'm very grateful, because I feel incapable. But with God, we can do all things. Amen. Do you have the gift of helping others? Some of you have this gift. I saw it at work yesterday. Do it with all the strength and energy that God supplies. Then everything you do will bring glory to God through Jesus Christ. All glory and power to Him forever and ever. My life verse in the Bible is in Colossians 3. It's in 3:17 and then 21 and 22. It basically says this: whatever you do, whatever God puts in front of you, do with all your heart as unto the Lord. You see, sometimes we want the big opportunity to show up somewhere down the road. We want it. We just think, God, give me that big opportunity. But what God says is, no. How do you climb a mountain? One step at a time. Just be faithful to me. Whatever I put in front of you today. I found that I'm supposed to be really happy and exuberant about helping my wife clean the bathrooms. She tells me I look really sexy with a vacuum cleaner. I don't know how that works, but if it's good for her, it's good for me. So, see, this is what do it with all the strength and energy that God supplies you. So whatever God puts in front of you, are you supposed to complain and whine about it? Or do it with everything you got? I can tell you, I've employed thousands of people. You know who I promote? People who show up and say, I'm going to give it my best today. What else you got for me, Randy? I love those people. I'm going to promote them. You can't hold them down. I can tell you, young people, here's how you get a job. If you get an interview, you say, listen, I'm really grateful that I have an interview with you because I know you're interviewing a lot of qualified candidates. But at some point in this interview, listen up, folks, because if you say this and mean this, you'll get a job. You'll get some pretty amazing jobs. At some point in this interview, could I tell you why I think you should hire me? And the person interviewing you is going to say, wow, I'd like to hear that right now. And you say simply this. If I'm fortunate to be hired by this company, I will tell you this. No one will work harder than I will to give everything I've got to help the company meet its goals and objectives. I will always be on time. And when I show up, I'll show up fully engaged. That's why you want to hire me. If you say that and mean it, don't say it if you don't mean it, because then you're going to be a phony. If you really show up with that attitude. And I've had some jobs over the years that, excuse me, that were not fun. We've all had those jobs. But when I gave it everything I got, I was surprised at the opportunities that came out of that. It's like in a car dealership. You don't start out in the big seat, right? You start out cleaning cars and doing the unpleasant things. Yeah, that's right. Let's make good use of the time we have left. This is what I pray. This is my prayer now, and I pray this over you. Folks, many people start off well, but they don't finish well. Many people start well, but don't finish well. Let's finish well. I pray with all of God's help that I will finish well. I want my kids and my grandkids to see a man who finished well, who didn't implode, who didn't go off the deep end, who stayed faithful to his God, faithful to his wife, faithful to his family, and stayed the course. Let's finish well. And the only way we can do that is by how we spend our time. I implore you, I challenge you, let the gift that God gives you every day of 24 hours be authored by him. And I know some of you are very young, but life goes by really, really fast. And I wish I was younger so I could go back and be more focused like I am now, because I think I could accomplish a whole lot more. And it's not just about how much money you're worth or how many people you even have led to Jesus, because it's all in God's hands. It's about, did I use the precious minutes that God gave me well? It's a gift. Let's use it well. One of the things I like about Paul, 2 Timothy 4, 1 through 4, and this is my challenge to you and to me. I solemnly urge you in the presence of God in Christ, who will someday judge the living and the dead when he comes to set up his kingdom. I believe God's going to judge how we spent our time. And I thank God for the blood of Christ and the grace of God, because it's all forgiven. I believe it's a sin to waste your time. And by the blood of Christ, we will stand righteous before God. But it'll be a shame when he'll probably reveal just what he had wanted to do and could have done through our lives. Preach the word of God. Be prepared, whether the time is favorable or not. We don't have to. Sometimes it's never. There's a lot of times I've started companies when it wasn't favorable, but I just know that was what God called me to do. Or I was involved in a ministry, or did something that it just didn't seem like the right time. But as I stepped forward, God opened the doors. Patiently correct, rebuke, and encourage your people with good teaching. In other words, sometimes we just need to just be there for each other. You know what? Encourage, or they're saying, hey, brother, I see an opportunity for you to be a little better at something, and I'd like to stand with you in it, you know? Or if you want to stop smoking, can I help you? Can I pray with you? Can I believe in you? And if you struggle, I'm there for you. I'm not going to make a judgment. For a time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. How many know that's the world we're living in right now, right? I mean, it's crazy. They will follow their own desires and will look for teachers who will tell them whatever their itching ears want to hear. Wow. They will reject the truth and chase after myths. That is the America we're living in. It's just so sad. But you should keep a clear mind in every situation. Don't be afraid of suffering for the Lord. Work at telling others the good news. That's what we did yesterday, didn't we, people? And fully carry out the ministry God has given you. As for me, my life has already been poured out and as an offering to God. The time of my death is near. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful. And now the prize awaits me, the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on the day of his return. And that prize is not just for me, but for all who eagerly look forward to his appearing. You see, we have really one objective that God wants from us. And this is what I pray, that by God's grace, will happen in my own life. That someday I will stand before the Almighty God, and he will say, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of the Lord. By God's grace. So, my dear friends, let's use our time wisely. Let's make sure we're grounded. Blessed is the man and woman who meditates on the Lord's word every day. It is the life of our very being and our very existence. And let's be in prayer, earnest prayer, that God will deliver us from ourselves. And that it'll help us to be God-focused and others-focused. God and others, God and others. I'm happiest when it's not about me, when it's about God and others. You know, there are some, I think all of us are hard to love, aren't we at times? But God gives us the grace to love each other. I mean, my wife knows me and she still loves me. That's a miracle. It really is. I'm really grateful for that. What a great gift. You know how God answers prayers, people? This is what God said to me. He says, Randy, I answer prayer through people. I need you to be somebody's answer to prayer today. If you look at a lot of times how God answers our prayers, it's because God used another person to bless us, to help us, to encourage us, to do something for us when we couldn't do it ourselves. We need to be the answer to people's prayers. Let's do it. Let's take the hours that God has given us, the minutes of every hour, be intentional, purposeful, and direct with how we do that. And then let God let us finish strong. Amen. Thank you.